Bienvenido and welcome viewers and students. The lesson on basic Spanish are short and easy, and I am sure if you follow regularly the program, you will be able to speak, understand, write Spanish quite easily. In the last class, we discussed that in Spanish the verbs are categorized in three groups: AR ending verbs, ER ending verbs and IR ending verbs. So, let us start with the ER ending regular verbs. As a verb, you know, a word which describes an action, condition or experience of the noun. Verb conjugation refers to how a verb changes to show a different person, tense, number or mood. In Spanish also, the conjugation of a verb ending in ER represents the same. Some of the examples of ER ending regular verb is in present tense are beber, to drink, aprender, to learn, comprender, to understand, and vender, to sell, leer, to read, etc. The conjugation of this category of verbs in present tense are as follows. So, first person singular, yo aprendo. Second person singular, tú aprendes. Third person singular, él, ella aprende, o usted, formal you, aprende. Now, look at the plural part of it. First person plural, nosotros, nosotras, we aprendemos. Second person plural, vosotros, vosotras aprendéis. Third person plural, ellos, ellas aprenden. Ustedes, formal plural, aprenden. So, we look at that these conjugation, as we learned in the first class, that each verb has a root or a stem or an ending. So, to conjugate verbs, regular verbs or verbs in Spanish, we remove the ending and we add suffix to it. So, for ER ending verbs, the suffix are for yo, o, tú, es, es, él, ella, y, usted, y. Now, at the plural section, nosotros, nosotras, hemos, emos, vosotros, vosotras, eis, eis, with an accent, ellos, ellas, en, ustedes, en. Now, we shall look at some important ER ending verbs and their conjugation. Beber, to drink, has the stem or the root as beb, B-E-B. We will go on adding the suffix to it and looking at the conjugation. So, as I explained to you, the suffix are for yo, o. So, bebo, yo bebo, I drink. Tú, we add suffix es, s. Tú bebes, you drink. Él, ella, usted, bebe, he, she or you formal, he drinks, she drinks or you drink. Nosotros, nosotras, we add hemos, bebemos, we drink. Vosotros, vosotras, we add the suffix eis. Do remember a with an accent. Bebéis, you all drink. Ellos, ellas, ustedes beben, they drink. Ellos beben, ellas beben o ustedes beben. Next verb is comer, to eat. So, this verb has the root is com, C-O-M, and we will add the suffix to it. Yo como, I eat. Tú comes, you eat. Él, ella, usted come, he eats, she eats, you eat. Nosotros, nosotras comemos, we eat. Vosotros, vosotras coméis, e or e with an accent, we eat. Ellos comen, ellas comen, ustedes comen, they eat. Next is romper, is to break. This verb has the stem romp, R-O-M-P. We add suffix to it to make the conjugation. Yo rompo, tú rompes. Él, ella, usted rompe. Nosotros, nosotras rompemos. Vosotros, vosotras rompéis. Ellos, ellas, ustedes rompen. Next verb is leer, to read. This verb has the stem as le, L-E. We add suffix to it as yo leo, I read. Tú lees, you read. Él, ella, usted lee, he reads, she reads, or you read. Nosotros, nosotras leemos, we read. Vosotros, vosotras leéis, you all read. Ellos leen, ellas leen, ustedes leen, they read. All the regular ER ending verbs follow the same pattern, so another verb like comprender will be conjugated in the same way. We shall now look at some sentences of ER ending regular verbs in present tense and their equivalent in English. Yo comprendo todas las lecciones de la gramática. Yo comprendo todas las lecciones de la gramática. Yo comprendo, I understand all the grammatical lessons. Nosotros leemos el periódico todos los días. Remember that leer verb in Spanish is to read. We read newspaper every day. Next sentence. Los turistas comen tortilla en el restaurante en Madrid. The tourists eat tortilla, which is one of the famous omelette, Spanish omelette, in restaurant in Madrid. So, los turistas, the tourists, comen, because it is plural subject, comen tortilla, the omelette, en el restaurante, in the restaurant, en Madrid, in Madrid. Okay. Now, next sentence. Pablo no lee las novelas de ficción científica. Paul does not read science fiction novels. The name Paul in Spanish is Pablo. Ana bebe el zumo de naranja. Ana drinks orange juice. Bebe from the verb beber, which is to drink, and Ana is Anna in Spanish. It is Ana. So, you remember the letter A as A in Spanish. So, Anna is Ana. So, isn't that Spanish interesting, isn't it? Let us look at some simple dialogues where the ER ending verb are used. As I ask you, ¿Qué comes normalmente para el desayuno? ¿Qué comes tú normalmente para el desayuno? ¿Qué is what? And comes is the conjugation for tú. So, what you eat en el desayuno. And you shall reply, como pan y huevos. Yo como pan y huevos. Pan is bread and huevos is eggs. So, now you guess what is desayuno. Yeah, what do we have during breakfast is bread and eggs. So, el desayuno is breakfast. You can also guess normalmente is normally. I am sure you are slowly making progress in learning Spanish, and you ask somebody, ¿qué comes normalmente para el desayuno? And as a reply, you say, you may get como el pan y los huevos. Well, here we go with another micro conversation. In the class, the teacher asked the students, alumnos, ¿vosotros comprendéis la lección? Alumnos, ¿vosotros comprendéis la lección? Alumnos, yes, your guess is right, is alumnus, is student, and comprendéis, vosotros comprendéis, which is plural for you all understand the lesson. Comprender, you remember, is to understand in Spanish. So, the student respond, sí, señora. Yes, ma'am. Comprendemos la lección. Yes, ma'am, we understand the lesson. You may try make such conversations and practice for on your own to make and understand better. Now, let us look at the conjugation and their suffix ending of the IR conjugation verbs. So, I am going to take example of escribir, which is to write. First person, yo escribo, I write. Second person singular, tú escribes, you write. Remember that second person, when we say tú, is informal and we use usted for formal conversation. Or now, third person singular, él, ella escribe, he or she writes, or usted escribe, you write. Now, let us look at the plural section. Nosotros, nosotras, we escribimos, we write. Vosotros, vosotras, escribís, you all write. Ellos, ellas, escriben, they write. Or ustedes escriben, you write. So, what did you see? We saw that when we are conjugating the IR ending regular verbs, we are adding the suffix which is for yo, o, tú, es, él, ella, ustedes, nosotros, nosotras, imos, vosotros, vosotras, is, ellos, ellas, en, ustedes, en. Now, let us go on conjugating the verbs which we had. So, we will conjugate vivir. So, vivir, the verb has the ending ir and the stem is viv, V-I-V. Yo vivo, I live. Tú vives, él, ella vive. Nosotros vivimos, vosotros vivís, ellos, ellas, ustedes viven. Like the ER conjugation verbs, in vosotros form we have vivís, I with an accent. Let us look at the next verb, that is describir, is to describe. This verb has the stem or the root as describe. So, the conjugation goes yo escribo or yo describo, I describe, tú describes, you describe, él, ella, usted describe, he describes, she describes, or you formal describe. Nosotros, nosotras describimos, we describe. Vosotros, vosotras describís, you all describe. Ellos, ellas, ustedes describen, ellos describen, they describe. Next verb is recibir, to receive. This verb has the root or stem as recib. Yo recibo, I receive. Tú recibes, you receive. Él recibe, he receives. Ella recibe, she receives. Usted recibe, you formal receive. Nosotros, nosotras recibimos, we receive. Vosotros, vosotras recibís, you all receive. Ellos reciben, they receive. For masculine, ellas reciben, they receive. For feminine, ustedes reciben, you all receive, formal one. Next verb is insistir. The verb insistir has the root or stem as insist. Yo insisto, I insist. Tú insistes, you insist. Él, ella, usted insiste. Nosotros, nosotras insistimos. Vosotros, vosotras insistís. Ellos, ellas, ustedes insisten. All the regular IR ending verb follows this pattern. So, another verb like permitir will be conjugated in the same way as shown above. We shall now look at some sentences of IR ending regular verbs in the present tense and their equivalent in English. Yo escribo una carta al director del centro. I write a letter to the director of the center. Next, Jorge vive en España. Jorge is third person, singular subject. So, the conjugation is vive. The verb is vivir. Okay. So, George lives in Spain. Jorge vive en España. Yes, España is Spain. George lives in Spain. Nosotros vivimos en la India. Nosotros is first person plural and the conjugation vivir is imos, the suffix you remember. So, nosotros vivimos en la India, India is India. You can use any country. Nosotros vivimos en España, nosotros vivimos en Inglaterra, nosotros vivimos en España, we live in Spain. Nosotros vivimos en Inglaterra, we live in England. Nosotros vivimos en India, we live in India. Next sentence is la profesora abre las ventanas de la clase. Yes, la profesora abre las ventanas de la clase. Abrir is to open, and the word la profesora is teacher or professor. Third person singular subject. So, abre. The verb abrir is an ir ending verb, has the root or stem as abr, and the suffix for third person singular subject is a, abre. La profesora abre las ventanas de la clase. Yes, the professor or the teacher opens the windows of the class. So, la clase is the class. Yes, you guessed right. Las ventanas is the windows. Now, we shall make a sentence with another ir ending verb as decidir, which means to decide. The sentence goes like this: los empleados deciden hablar con el director. Los empleados deciden hablar con el director. Decidir is to decide, and yes, hablar is to speak. So, the main action or the verb in this sentence is decidir, and as the subject is plural, los empleados, the employees. So, the conjugation is third person plural, is deciden. Los empleados deciden hablar con el director. The employees decide to talk to the director. Remember that hablar is the first group ar ending verb, which means to speak. Now, let us now look at some simple dialogues where the ir ending verbs are used. You can ask somebody, ¿Dónde vives tú? ¿Dónde vives tú? Where do you live? Yes, ¿dónde is an interrogative pronoun which means where. ¿Dónde vives tú? Where you live, or where do you live? And in response, you get or you can reply as yo vivo en Lima. Yo vivo en Lima. I live in Lima. Yes, Lima is the capital city of Peru. Yes, hence in the conversation, ¿Dónde vives tú? Yo vivo en Lima. You can make such small conversations with ir ending verbs in Spanish. So, to summarize today's session, we have learned the second and third category of verbs, which is er and ir ending verbs in Spanish, their conjugation and how they are used in sentences and conversation. Let us revise once er ending verbs and their suffix, how do we change, and ir ending verbs and how their suffix are. So, for er ending verbs, the suffix will be yo, o, tú, es, él, ella, usted, nosotros, nosotras, hemos, vosotros, vosotras, eis. Yes, remember that the letter E or A in Spanish will have an accent. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, third person plural, en. Now, look at the ir ending verb and their suffix. Ir ending verbs will have the suffix yo, o, tú, es, él, ella, usted, nosotros, nosotras, imos, vosotros, vosotras, is, I with an accent, ellos, ellas, ustedes, en. Okay, so here goes all the sentences and the expressions which we have learned today. So, that was all. In the next lesson with some more interesting things. For now, practice these verbs. Gracias, buena suerte, adiós, hasta luego.